I think we had a very broad picture of experiences ranging from all parts of the world, and from angel networks, individual angels, various platforms. It seems to me that in the last 50 years, when we had started with a local angel and his or her will to give back to the community, this has come a long way. Of course, there are some forces behind this from the technology that is making this possible, to the fact that people are now global and traveling. There are some other forces going in other directions. I think we have heard also talking about sovereignty and funds and technologies and so on and so forth. So it's it's really interesting to understand where is angel investing going, and how international is this is becoming. And I think that the overall questions we are asking at this workshop is we are connecting globally, and this is an evidence of that. But why are we doing that if, let's say, only among inverted commas to share experiences, or rather also to build bridges and operational bridges, and also investing globally and maybe together. So I will leave this question unanswered, and I'm asking now Claire Munck to actually moderate the last panel. She is joined by all the speakers and by Reginald Vossen, the chairman of Business Angels Europe, which will also be representing the BAE, the Business Angels Europe Club experience that has been presented before, and also the co-investment funds of AngelWise, of which he is part of. Plus, I hope we still have with us the two speakers from the US, which didn't have the time to actually intervene during the first session. So, Claire, the floor is now yours, and we look forward to a lively discussion and Q&A.
Thank you so much, Luigi. Hi, everyone. I think it's going to be an interesting experience moderating all of you, and so much content in 40 minutes. But I think before I give the floor to you, because I think it will be interesting to understand what you have found that is surprising, what you have found that is new. Maybe my own takeaways is, having been in this ecosystem for, I think, 20-something years, I think we have come such a long way. But also we are still talking about how can we better collaborate together. We've talked a lot during these panels about professionalization, right? Structuring of angel groups. We've talked a lot about accessibility. How do we make angel investing or early stage investing more accessible? We've talked about also trying to collaborate better by having some sector focus. Making sure that we also have links with other players in the ecosystem and with corporations, because we talked a lot about access to cash, but also access to expertise. I'll be interested also to know more about the importance of deal leaders. I think we've talked about active players versus more passive players, people that want to have an active role near the companies, other people that maybe want to co-invest with crowdfunding platforms, and all of this is creating an ecosystem. Because I think that what we're looking for is really leverage in terms of impact, and also in terms of scale. So maybe Laura, because I see you, and I'd like to know what you have found that is surprising for you, or that has maybe validated an assumption that you had about those different trends that we've been hearing, and you've seen such a wealth of expertise and also very, very diverse experiences. Huh?
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Claire. I definitely was surprised at the level of activity and especially collaboration. I also see something that I notice in our ecosystem. Ecosystems is a more closer connection between angels and VCs and sort of government, agencies, meaning innovation councils or universities or accelerators. So we're doing, we're trying to do the same thing in the U.S. where there is a friction, for a company moving from, let's say, an angel world into a VC world. Now, what we see, and I haven't seen that addressed, is we have companies coming to us, and they're either still based in Europe, and they're saying that they will relocate, their headquarters will be moved to US, or they want to get the money first, and then they promise to move. And we see our investors being extremely uncomfortable with that in-between, especially stage, but most of us want the company to be a US company. So I'm extremely curious how you handle it on your end, because you tie all the legal knots, even between different countries, right? So legally, you know where IP resides, you know how the company is structured, and all of a sudden there's this big change where they're saying, well, we need to raise more money. We're going to the, to the States, and we're going to flip the company.
Yes, very good question. Thank you, Laura. I just might want to say, if people want to intervene or ask a question, maybe you can use the raise your hand button so that I know that you want to intervene. And Luigi, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we might also have questions from the audience, maybe in the chat. That
yes,
I can take as we go, and also from the participants. I think that's a very interesting point, Laura, and I will see from the participants who would like to react, especially as Padmaja mentioned it as well. It's quite difficult also for Indian angels to invest abroad. Luigi talked about sovereignty. We have a number of new policies at EU level that want, to address the fact that we need to scale companies in Europe. So all of that, cross-border interest is also, I think, going to move in the next years. Would anybody like to react to Laura and Reginald? I think we haven't seen you at the different panels, so great that you want to intervene. Thank you so much. So the chair of Business Angels Europe, do you want to maybe introduce yourself and yes, comment on Laura's perspective?
Okay, thank you so much. Well, very shortly, I'm president of Business Angels Europe, but my main occupation is running a business angel network in Flanders, Belgium, the northern part, colleague with Claire, who's also running a network in Belgium. And since we are a small country, I think a very important point, perhaps to clarify, is that to Laura, that most of the cross-border deals, as we call them, within Europe, for the time being, are mostly to neighboring countries. It's very much about deals being very close, also still geographically towards where the investors from the other country reside. So, and this is exactly the aim of ESIL. It's trying to give more east-west link, and to also within the more mature markets get angels to invest more on a real pan-European level, not only in those countries which are neighboring them. And I think there's a very much important decision in having this on several possible ways organized, because as being part of the Business Angels Europe Club as well, we have been seeing that these cross-border e-pitches we have been conducting were, as a matter of fact, lacking some kind of focus in order to engage angels to come to these e-pitches. And okay, perhaps the attendance was still there, but the action of investing was very low. And this is because we think that we were not able to bring the angels together, which really needed to be brought together, being angels with a specific focus, for instance, on a sector, on a vertical, or angels focused on investing in female founders. So we think by having these kind of focus points in these e-pitches towards the future, we might be bridging more angels towards a level of international investment. because as you rightly described, there are quite some barriers within Europe still on legal, on fiscal, on linguistic issues. So there is a lot to be tackled. So I think providing what we exactly are doing with ESIL, also, for instance, legal templates to give angels more comfort in investing to other countries is a way forward. So still a lot of to be done within Europe, but as you also rightfully pointed out, a lot of the European companies really look towards the United States to spin out and to have their companies grow in this huge market. So quite some points of attention for us. And by the way, very nice to see somebody from Tech Coast Angels again. I must have been Frank Peters with the microphone and the tape recorder like 20 years ago was my last contact. So I'm very glad to see Tech Coast Angels is still growing strong.
Oh, yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's one other comment is I think because what I'm seeing happening in Europe, right, where you need to collaborate together. It wasn't that much different from where we were before COVID, in a sense, because it was the same between different states. We don't have legal barriers, but we didn't know each other as close as we do now. And there's definitely much more collaboration happening. And now we've crossed that sort of virtual divide. We co-invest so much easier with each other. So that's happening between angel groups and looking at the deals together. So, both ASN and Medical Mondays, you have people sitting together discussing deals. We know each other. We have personal connections with each other, even though most of us never met in person. And the deals are moving much faster. And again, we also want to collaborate closer with VCs because this is a little bit of a sort of next step for us. We have a closer collaboration between the states in the different angel groups. But getting to know our VCs is also important, and that's what we're seeing. For example, Medical Monday, that's critical for us, especially in medtech, because it's moving so fast, right? So you start in an angel round, and then we want to know what our friends in the VC world are thinking of the company that we're still considering whether to invest into or not. So it is more about just personal connections. We don't use platforms. I forgot to mention that's the same thing with ASN as with Medical Mondays. We are very hands-on. If the deal is generating interest, it's emails, it's connecting people who are interested on the same thread. We find that platforms are sort of a little bit flat for us.
Okay, I think we can come back, maybe Laura. I think that's a point that we can actually discuss with the group, about the tools that groups use or don't use to collaborate for different reasons. And maybe want to come back to the point about deal leaders or, deal leads, where in terms of group collaboration, and that was mentioned for ASN, but that is also the case when we organize e-pitches with Business Angels Europe. We always want somebody to really be the captain and the spearheading basically the presentation for the startup and the due diligence. I was wondering if anybody wanted to comment on the deal leadership and how it facilitates cross-border angel investing. I don't know if Mary McKenna is still here, but I know that you train deal leaders, because I think we also talk about improving angel investing, and I think leading a deal is not always a given. So I was wondering also, when we had the different discussions, how do we make sure that we have a level playing field in terms of information that we prepare to lead deals? Luigi, I think you wanted to react.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to say that Mary had to leave, as I understand, because she had another meeting she couldn't skip. So I was just highlighting this to you, Claire, and well, I think you have someone else that is raised their hand.
Shirshakan, do you want maybe to put on your camera if you have a comment or a question? If that works. but I think there's a little sign that says that it's not connected, right? The camera or...
The audience probably is not allowed. They can only do Q&A, writing Q&A.
So, okay, perfect. Okay, so indeed, if you can send your comment or your question in the chat, and I will relay it to the rest of the group. Anybody would like to react on the importance of the deal leaders and maybe connecting to each other, and also their level of preparation? How do you make sure that you know, all the deal leaders are prepared in the same way?
I do have an example, I think, of a great deal leadership in our case. I think it was the one that was also mentioned in Francesca's presentation about this company Spreakers, in which our deal leader at Italian Angels for Growth was actually the driving force to connect this company to the US. And had it not been for these deal leaders, we would have not connected with the US, and we would have not started you know, also having a first time in New York, and I think, as you know, even Laura was mentioning, there was then a long debate about, do you want to transfer all the IP immediately? No, we still have the Italian company, we keep it in Italy. No, you have to do it in Delaware, and blah blah blah. And I think if it was not because of the previous experience of our deal leader, we would have not reached probably an agreement to what was then a very successful growth for the company. So I think that the leader with an international experience can play, I think, all the difference in the world.
And in that case, maybe because since this is also the point of this panel, is to find out how we can collaborate maybe more frequently, maybe contacting somebody from Medical Mondays to know exactly, you know, what are some of the good decisions to make when you go international is definitely something that might have helped, Luigi.
Yeah.
When that, yes.
Yes.
If we... Yes, Reginald, you wanted to...
Yeah, I think I just want to compliment that. I think it's also helping because it's kind of building a bridge of trust between angels. So I think having a deal leader, and perhaps also having a deal leader who has already perhaps invested in a previous round, which might even enforce the power with which this leader will speak on the table, will certainly create the surroundings in which other more following investors will be gladly following on. And sorry to be a little bit commercial there, but I'm going to put in the chat also the link to our legal templates, because it's not there yet, but in the next weeks we will also be pulling there together a deal lead agreement, so in which a syndication can use to nominate a deal leader in order to make the deal much more easier with a bigger group. So it's not there yet. Some other documents are there, so please feel free, because they are free of charge, available for everybody. But in the next weeks, there will be a lead angel agreement, as we call it, nominating within the group this leader, because this is, as a matter of fact, also the template we have been using up until yet, in which we differ, I think, from Angel Syndicate Network, because in the Business Angels Europe Club, up until now, we only presented deals which had already angel investors on board, coming from the BAE Club, from one of the members of the BAE Club network.
So it was a follow-on round, more often than not.
It's more for follow-on rounds, but as we are extending to the CE countries, I think we should more go into the model of Angel Syndicate Network, having also first rounds pulled together on the platform.
Maybe one more point, just quickly, Claire, on the deal leaders. I would also like to share something. That is that we are having a cross-border e-pitching, which is a vertical on MedTech. And again, for Laura and Medical Mondays and all of those that are interested, it might be, you know, and I'm sharing this on the chat as well, the link for the investors to register is still open. This is going to be on the 23rd, again in the afternoon, more or less at the same time. It's about 5 o'clock. And I guess that, you know, having deal leaders or people with an international experience attending these kind of events can be a way of connecting globally and eventually maybe even investing globally. So perhaps it would be a good idea to start having some kind of connection on these verticals as well.
Absolutely. Laura, you wanted to react on that proposition?
No, I had a thought as I was listening to both you and Reginald. I think it would be extremely interesting to have a quick use case at one of our meetings, right? Be it your meeting or our meeting, where someone who, like Reginald said, if a deal lead had an international experience, you take the country from one country to the next and through different levels, and show people how it was done, because that's where things break down, right? People just don't know. They get scared. They all think of double taxation. They think of IP issues. So seeing an actual company and giving an example how it moved through different angel groups, perhaps in Europe, and then it moved on and became a US company, and someone shepherded the deal, and someone can actually explain what were the concerns and how they were addressed. And again, seeing the success is probably the easiest way to start melting those bridges, right? Well, no, I'm sorry, building the bridges and melting the ice.
Okay, that's a very good suggestion. I think working on a case study. I've seen some questions in the chat, and I will get to them in a minute. I wanted to build on your point, Laura, about tools. We talked a lot about, making all of these exchanges, communication, maybe more, seamless, I would say. Do people want to react around the table as to tools they are using or not using? Or Padmaja had a whole list of, deal flow tools and portfolio management, and there's now AI to power a lot of research, as Gilles mentioned. Does anybody want to share their point of view in terms of how tools can help us to collaborate more effectively within our own angel group or together? Up, Laura, I see that. Please go ahead.
Yeah, I was
and
waiting.
Hubert would like to react as well. Thank you.
Yeah, I was waiting for someone else to jump in, but I do have a
Yes.
thought that I believe that when you start a syndication, it is extremely important to start with people. Once you have a core people or core groups, right? With people representing their groups. Once that is in place, then you need to potentially move to the platform. But if you do it the opposite way, if you create the platform first and then you try to put people on the platform, that's what usually we've seen breaks down.
Doesn't work. Yes, yes. Okay. Hubert, did you want to react? And apologies because I don't see all the images on my screen, so I'm trying to find out who is there. Does anybody see Hubert or not? Oh, yes, I can see you now. But I can't hear you. Can anybody hear Hubert or not?
No, we cannot.
We can't hear you. No, sorry, it's
Can you try again, Hubert? No.
To reconnect.
We cannot hear you now.
No, we cannot hear you. Sorry, have to connect and disconnect. Maybe Gilles, do you want to react if you are here, because we can't. I wonder if people can just turn on their cameras while we're speaking, because I have no idea who is around. That would be very nice. Oh, that's better. Thanks. So Gilles, I think you've gone through different iterations of the tools. What is your point of view maybe now in terms of the importance of technology, because it's going to disrupt obviously also us as angel groups probably in one way or another, or crowdfunding platforms or VC funds? What is your point of view in terms of the future of technology for deal sourcing and portfolio management?
For me, what is key, using, such a platform and your equity, of course, is that for an ecosystem, it's a window, to promote at the international level what a country can do. So I think we are now facing a global competition, and you know, the companies, they need to have, you know, some promotion. So what we are doing in Europe, what we are doing in Africa or in Middle East countries, this is for that purpose. So we are showcasing the best companies to investors globally. And when you are an investor based either in Canada or in Riyadh, or I don't know in which country, if you want to get in touch with a company based in France or Germany or in Belgium, you need such a tool. So for me, because we are becoming more and more global, thanks to deep tech, because before deep tech, when we were low tech, mostly investments, I would say, were done, you know, locally. But now, because of deep tech, we need huge, you know, amount of money. We need expertise. We need, I would say, new things. And I think we
fast
need to
access
be
to
more
information, probably
Yeah.
fast access to information.
Yeah.
I can actually react on a question that was asked by Aristo in the chat, and so he's saying, obviously, you know, how can European entrepreneurs or entrepreneurs based in Europe stay in Europe while we are sometimes faced with funding gaps, cultural inertia, and opportunity costs. So what should founders think about how the early stage investors in our case, but that includes angel investors, crowdfunding platforms, early stage VCs, maybe family offices, because I think we've touched upon all of these investors. How can we convince entrepreneurs to stay in Europe, and how can we help Aristo to stay in Europe?
Do you want me to answer to that
Oh,
question?
I think you can start, yeah.
What I can say, you know, regarding what we know, especially in France, is that talent, you know, probably are key. You know, we can see even, you know, companies coming from US, you know, to set up their office or even their headquarters in some cases in France or in Europe, in other countries. And why are they doing that? They are doing that because they are looking for talents in their particular sector. So I think, you know, we are speaking because we are all investors or related to investor here. But of course, and thanks, investor, you know, they are not the key guys in the process. You know, people are key, you know, talents are key. So I think this is the starting point.
This is what we need to nurture, and the right talent for the right businesses, yeah. And are we doing better with funding gap? Well, probably this is the whole point of the discussion. Hubert, are you back with us? Can you try to turn your mic on? I still can't hear you. I'm sorry. Oh, no? Go ahead. No, I can't hear you. I'm sorry, Alex, if there's anything that you can do to help us connect with Hubert, because I just can't find a way to hear him. Okay, I think he's going to connect back.
Okay. I had a question perhaps for Lynn from Investor, if he's still there. How does he see this collaboration between angel investors and such a large and global platform like Investor? What are the trends? Is this growing, and what does he sees in terms of you know, are there collaboration with local groups of angels, with global angels? If he could tell us a little bit more, how does he see the market there?
Yes, I hope you can hear me still.
Yes, we can.
Super. So in our experience, most people have an outdated, if not even a negative view on crowdfunding, but it has changed over time from, you know, funding a small idea or smaller projects to a valid alternative financing form for growth companies. And therefore, more and more people from the ecosystem, also especially business angels, are aware of that. And we see that most business angels do also want to participate in terms of shared deal flow, because they also want to have new high potential deals. And it's very individual why they invest. But the fact is that they do not only look for regional topics, but rather also international ones. And as Oliver also said, there is like this huge change or development in terms of ECSPR, like the European Crowd Service Provider Platform, meaning that cross-border investments are still possible. So that means that you as a, let's say, an Italian investor can also invest in Dutch companies. Or if you are based in Portugal, you could also invest in German companies. And this is also a huge driver in international investments for business angels and other players. And we see also that VCs, for example, are not only focusing on one region, they would rather say we are a European-based investment company, and so are some business angels. And therefore you have international and also global investments, if that answer your question.
Yeah, it does provide at least some hints. And again, it's probably back to the individual experience, as I understand.
I think it's an interesting. I think it's an interesting feedback. Also, we won't have time to delve into this, but a feedback of the the evolving profile of private investors, right? Who they were 20 years ago,
Definitely.
who they were 10 years ago, and now, of course, probably people investing at a much younger age, maybe smaller amounts, with platforms, syndication solutions. And I think it's an interesting point that Lucas made in terms of collaboration between angel groups and crowdfunding platforms, when you can leverage the power of private investors that are doing it maybe for different reasons. There's no, I think, good or bad. I think it's about the impact that you can have and the velocity and the leverage.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. And in my opinion, it also shouldn't be a, either or decision. Either I only go for strategic investors like VCs, or I only do early stage investing with business angels and crowdfunding. It's rather a diverse mix, which can also help companies grow and get help from different perspectives. And therefore, I totally agree, Claire.
Mm-hmm. Luigi, I want to be careful with time because everybody was on time for everything. And I think we could go on for many hours discussing around the table about, how we could improve angel investing worldwide. But I'll give you the floor to close this session and maybe plan for next steps in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.